Hello and welcome to day one of the Puro Joshi Advent Calendar here on the channel. My name is Peps and today we are opening the first door into the world of Japanese pro wrestling in 2025 as we are taking a look at the year of New Japan. New Japan entered 2025 with a lot of discussions surrounding its young talent and the direction of the booking of them. In this video, I will be covering how the promotion evolved through the year, the major tournaments, the key roster developments, the title scenes, and the booking decisions before we look ahead into 2025 and what I personally hope to see from New Japan in the next year. So let's get right into it. First, we start things off with the roster change. And the big roster changes obviously always happen at the beginning of the year where people are leaving the company or sometimes even joining the company and signing new deals. But the name I really want to focus on, and he's the biggest loss of all of them, and I think everyone knows who I'm talking about, Tetsuya Naito. He announced in April that he's leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling in May, and this came as a huge shock to a lot of New Japan fans, as Tetsuya Naito is one that not only has been wrestling in New Japan since 2006, but also someone that was a mainstay in the main event scene during the most important time in New Japan and the end of the 2010s, where he became a multiple-time world champion as well as holding the IWGP Intercontinental title, I believe 6 times, and even main evented a big Tokyo Dome show in 2022 and 2020, where he won the double gold dash against Kazuchika Okada, in my opinion, one of the greatest matches of this decade so far. Ever since, he still was a very good role and took over the ace kind of figure in the last couple of years, where he became world champion again at the beginning of 2024, lost the belt to Moxley, won it back from Moxley, and had one last world title reign before he then eventually dropped the belt, moved down to the tag scene, and then became a tag team champion with Hiromu Takahashi as Los Ingobernables de Japón. And then he decided to leave the company due to various reasons. I think money was an issue. I would imagine booking was an issue. And we know the state of Tetsuya Naito in 2025 in terms of his in-ring work and everything. He's not the best anymore, and he knows what he can do still, but it's not on a level that we expect him kind of to be as the top guy of the company. Still, you notice, especially in his popularity, that Tetsuya Naito is still a huge star in the company. I mean, we are talking about at his Wrestling Otaku number, where he left the company, he drew a number of 5,400 people just for him. Like, the main event was not really a strong one, and he sold the majority of the tickets. I think it's like 2,500 tickets more than the day before, which is a lot of tickets for New Japan Pro Wrestling in Fukuoka. Ever since him leaving, it feels like that a role on the top is missing, a main event star in terms of like the drawing ability, and the attendance slowly declined following that, with Dominion not drawing a great number, the G1 constantly going down, the Sumo Hall number at King of Pro Wrestling not being good. Now, of course, it goes up again towards the end of Tanahashi's retirement run because everyone wants to see Tanahashi one final time. But you were able to see the decline in attendance right after Naito left, and I think there's at least some connection to it. Another connection, obviously, being the world title stuff and everything like that, but this one is definitely one big part of it. Another big part of it is, and then we are jumping into the title scenes and tournaments. New Japan, of course, has their 2 big tournaments, singles tournaments this year. In May, they had the Best of the Super Juniors. In August, they had the G1 Climax. I'm going to talk a little bit about both of them, not really going much into detail because people who have been following this channel know I've been doing a full-on review on a G1 Climax with every day on my YouTube channel. So if you want in-detail thoughts about that and every match, you can find it there. So we start off with the Best of the Super Juniors, which was won by Kosei Fujita. And the tournament itself was match quality-wise was good. We had a lot of really fun matches, in my opinion. A strong final, even with Yo and Kozi Fujita, that delivered one of the best New Japan matches of all year. But also, and I think that is the big part why I'm really down on this tournament, the booking around it. There are two big reasons, and that's first of all the follow-up of how they booked Kozi Fujita as the winner as a follow-up, but also how they booked him and the rest of the tournament inside the tournament. And that is the first thing. The final standings of the A block had 5 people, with Kozi Fujita, Hiromu Takahashi, Clark Connors, Master Wato, and Francesco Akira at 10 points. At 5 people, with Kushida, Ninja Mac, Dragon Dyer, Robbie Axe, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru 8 points. Parity booking at its best. Nobody looks bad, nobody looks really good. Kozi Fujita, as the winner of the block, goes out with a 5-4 record, and I think he lost 4 in a row or something like that. It was outrageous, especially considering he lost to Ninja Mac and stuff like that, where I'm like, dude, this guy's supposed to be the future of your company. Book him like one. Why can't he win 7 matches in this tournament and just win the block with it? Why does he need to go 5-4? The other side was booked a bit better, but also not really well. We had Taguchi with 6 points, and we had Shao, Kevin Knight, Teichi Ishimori, Robbie Eagles, Nick Wayne, and Titan at 8 points. And then Yo winning the block with 12 points over El Desperado and Mao, who both also had 12 points, which is better, but also you had the entire mid-card at around 8 points. Parity booking at its best. Nobody looks really good. Nobody looks really bad. And I just don't get it. And it's the big issue, because coming out of this tournament, there was not a single guy who looked like a star. There was not a single guy who looked bad. There was no hierarchy in terms of the booking. It was just people wrestling each other. And it felt like, on a booking standpoint, it didn't really matter. As I said, Kozi Fujita then won the final against Yo. And now we are heading into what the fuck were they doing direction. Because Kozi Fujita, after the match, said, okay, I don't want to challenge the Dominion. Normally, most of the best of Super Juniors winner won, because he wants El Desperado to focus on his match against Jun Kasai. And he wants to face a fresh El Desperado after that, who has his full focus on Kozi Fujita. I'm like, why the hell do we need to cuck Kozi Fujita for a match between El Desperado and Jun Kasai for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title? The title match between them, between Kasai and El Desperado at the Death Pain Invitational, was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. It was one of the best matches of this year. The storytelling in this match was fantastic. But I'm like, did this need to be a title match so that we can cuck Fujita? And there was only one reason why this kind of made sense in terms of booking standpoint, and that is if Fujita was losing. And at that point, everyone, including myself, thought, okay, he's just winning, because he needed to win. It just made sense for him to win after winning the Best of Super Juniors. Then we came to the match on July 6th at the Kurikan Hall in the main event. Everyone hoped, okay, we are going to get the big win here of Kozi Fujita. And then he just lost. He really just lost. And El Desperado continued to be the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, and the entire momentum of Kozi Fujita was gone and was wasted via bad booking, silly booking decisions all around from New Japan here with the junior division, which will come on later because it gets even worse than this one. And it felt like a total waste of giving Kozi Fujita the youngest Best of Super Juniors achievement. Actually, it gave wasted Kozi Fujita winning the Best of Super Juniors at all. It felt like a waste of everyone's time to watch even this tournament and being invested into the characters in there. Because looking back to it, the junior champion is now someone that, of course, was injured, so not in the tournament, and everyone else is either in the same spot they were before or moved down the card. No one in this tournament gained anything. The best of Super Junior this year was a waste of everyone's time. And it's sad, because the match quality was fine, the booking behind it was straight up terrible. And then we go on to the G1 Climax. I would even argue even a worse tournament than the best of Super Junior. We had Konosuke Takeshita as this winner of this in a final over Evil of the House of Torture. And that is where things start to get insane. Evil as the House of Torture member against the outsider Konosuke Takeshita. A match that I personally really liked and it surprised me a lot, but also it was a total chaos from a booking standpoint. Nobody got what the hell they were thinking here. Nobody had any kind of clue what they were doing here. They had an outsider who was heel all year, then randomly turned babyface to unite the wrestling world against the guy that many people wanted to see making the big step. Even it's Evil. Like many homegrown New Japan fans wanted to see the homegrown guy winning. And what happened? They were, I would say, at least 60-30 towards Evil in the majority of the match. Takeshita, of course, being a fantastic in-ring worker, got the crowd on his side too. But it didn't really work out the way that they likely tended to, by giving Takeshita a big heel as an opponent, so the crowd rallies behind him. But more and more, it was a kind of special atmosphere in that sense that was really 50-50. And the plan really didn't work out, but it also made the match more interesting, in my opinion. I think a straight up Evil versus Takeshita match where Evil just is evil, does the heat stuff, gets the heat and everything like that. Takeshita does the typical babyface comebacks, wouldn't have worked as well as this one. I think we need to give them that. For the rest of the tournament, I feel like we need to talk once again about parity booking, because in the A block we had Taiji at 6 points. Then we had Sanada, Ryohei Oiwa, Callum Newman, and Hiroshi Tanahashi at 10 points, 8 points. Bolton Oleg, Yuya Omura, Yoda Tsuji, and David Finlay at 10 points, and Evil at 12. In the block, David Finlay went through as the number 2 spot, and Yoda Tsuji as the number 3 spot. We need to talk here about one thing, and that is just I'm kind of surprised by the booking of Yuya Omura in this. I thought he's definitely going through this year with his final match beginning against David Finlay. But instead of doing it that way, they decided to, Finlay is going on a losing streak and then just coming back, starting the greatest comeback ever, gaining a lot of momentum, defeating then Yuya Omura on the final day. And then he lost in the quarterfinals, which was like momentum derating at its best. But that is David Finlay booking. Yoda Tsuji also had like really bad booking. His losses being insanely random, and this was like, cool, doesn't matter. If he wins the tournament, we can at least say, he won a tournament. And then he lost the semifinal to Evil, and everyone was crashing out. I think that was the point where a lot of people just decided to, no, New Japan is not for me to invest in. And I remember I was like really pissed about this result, and as a result, I was like, I can't really focus on the match afterwards. I needed to rewatch Zack Sabre Jr. versus Konosuke Takeshita. A great match. Overall, the A block was really messy book. Nothing really made much sense. Everything was just there. The matches were better. I think the main events were really good, but once again, the booking standpoint was letting this block down. The B block, on the other hand, had at least a more straightforward way, with Zack Sabre Jr. topping the block with 14 points as the world champion, Shota Umino at the number 2 spot with 12 points, and Konosuke Takeshita at 12 points, who ended up as the eventual winner. Shingo and Narita, 10 points, both went out. Same for Great O'Khan, Dylan Maloney, El Fantasma, and Yoshihashi, 8 points, and Gabe Kidd at 0 points because he was forfeiting the block. Of course, the forfeit of Gabe Kidd changed a lot of the booking patterns, but I feel like it helped for the best, because there is, even though we still have the 8-point mark at the end, we still have some kind of hierarchy. We have the world champion on top, then the 2 upper mid-card young guys, then Shingo and Ren at 10 points, and then the mid-card geeks at 8 points. The playoff stage went okay, I would say. Finlay and Takeshita had one of the best matchups for the G1 tournament, with Takeshita going through. I liked Yoratsuji versus Shota almost still a lot, with Shota losing to Yoratsuji. Then we had the two semifinals, which I talked about already, with Zack losing to Takeshita and Yoratsuji tapping out to Evil, which was like, no, referee stoppage to Evil, which was like a really stupid finish. Overall, I would say the G1 was fine. Good from a match standpoint, especially the top matches all delivered. From the booking standpoint, was bad. So I would say it goes down to okay to fine-ish. Then we go to the top 3 belts. I'm not talking about every belt here because they have like 550 belts and I feel like they forgot about 545 for the whole year. We're just talking about the junior title, the global title, and the world title. The junior title started off as Doki as champion, who came into the Tokyo Dome facing El Desperado, but sadly after 5 minutes after sent to the outside, Doki injured his elbow, and with that, sadly, the match ended early and El Desperado became the new champion without ever defeating really Doki, and started his 275-day-long reign, which was fantastic. He had a great match against Teichi Ishimori, and well, the solid match against Teichi Ishimori in San Jose, the fantastic match against Kosei Fujita in the Kurken Hall, the fantastic match against Francesco Akira in Ota, the very good hardcore match against Clark Connors, the really good one against Templario and Hizen no Kuni in Saga, I believe. Then the match of the year contender against Junko Sai, the very good match against Kosei Fujita, the great match against Yo, and then eventually dropped it back to Doki. But at some point, even though the match was all fantastic, it felt like they jumped the shark with it. They just jumped the shark with his title run. It felt like, okay, he needs to lose here, and then he won. And that went on for like 5 defenses, in my opinion. Like he should have lost at the latest to Kosei Fujita in the July match, following the big versus Super Juniors win of Kosei Fujita. But New Japan Young Talents is one thing that we will never understand. Then Doki, as a heel member of House of Torture, won the belt and has holding it since. The match against El Desperado was really disappointing, to be honest. I'm unsure what to expect. He doesn't seem to be on the Wrestle Kingdom card for some ungodly reason. Nobody gets it. I feel like this promotion is just doing weird stuff for the fun of it. I'm not going to question it. We will talk about the junior booking later more. Then the global title had a similar thing to the junior title, as David Finlay started off the year as champion until he dropped it in the Wrestle Kingdom match to Yoratsuji, which was a fantastic match. Yoratsuji then held the belt for 162 days, defending it against Jack Perry at the Tokyo Dome. Then the fantastic, if not match of the year contender level, that felt like a new life to New Japan, against Gabe Kidd, then defended it against a solid match against Evil, the great one against Yoya Omura, and then dropped it at Dominion to Gabe Kidd, who was meant to be. Gabe Kidd was meant to be on this absolute high after the entire storyline where he becomes the face of Shin Nihon or whatever. We have seen his stuff. And it didn't really work out that well for him eventually because of his AEW stuff. His momentum went down and everything like that. And his title win in Osaka didn't really feel as big as it was meant to be. His title run featured defenses against Hiroshi Tanahashi and Shigo Takagi, especially the Takagi match I thought was really good, before he eventually dropped the belt back to Yoratsuji at King of Pro Wrestling 2025, which was a match I really enjoyed, and I felt like at that moment something clicked again with Gabe Kidd after the last couple of months felt really weird with him. I don't know really what it was, but he feels like back on track again in some form or some way. So there's that. Then we now have, of course, Yodatsuchi is champion. He defended it once against Hiroshi Tanahashi, a fantastic match, and now moves on to Wrestle Kingdom to a double title match against Konosuke Takeshita, who has the IWGP World Championship. And this is the last belt we were talking about a bit more here. The title started at the hand of, with the run of Zack Sabre Jr., who defended it. And definitely a match that happened against Jota Umino at Wrestle Kingdom. I think we have talked about enough about this match and why it was a disaster and how long it went and everything like that. It really wasn't good. It straight up sucked, even, I would say. He then defended it against Ricochet in a 20-minute match at Wrestle Dynasty, and they paced the match much better. It was a great match. Not really Tokyo worthy, but still, I really loved this match in terms of what they did in that spot in front of like 16,000, something like that. I don't know, really weird. Then he had the fantastic match against Hiroki Goto, where the run of Hiroki Goto's World Champion started after 20 minutes of straight up incredible wrestling, where Hiroki Goto won the world title to start his run, the Goto Revolution, finally after, I feel like 22 years or something like that, where he finally won the world title. This was a huge moment, maybe the biggest moment, of course, of the entire year of New Japan. Goto then defended the belt against so many wrestlers: Hiroshi Tanahashi, Yuji Nagata, David Finlay, Shota Umino, Killer Newman, Zack Sabre Jr., Shingo Takagi, before he eventually lost it against Zack Sabre Jr. in a match at Tanahashi Jam in Nagoya that maybe from the emotional side didn't really hit the first one, but in-ring wise, it was, in my opinion, even better. Super well wrestled. They just went out and went absolutely insane for 28 minutes. Must watch for those who haven't seen it, because I feel like with the decision of taking Goto, the belt away from Goto at a point, people were kind of down and everything like that. Still, fantastic match. People should check that one out. Then we had another run of Zack Sabre Jr. He defended it against Nigel McGuinness in AEW. I was live there in London in the O2 Arena. Then against Renarita in a really good limp work match before he dropped the belt to the current IWGP World Champion, the G1 Climax winner Konosuke Takeshita, in a straight up fantastic match. I really love this one. 31 minutes, one of the best main event matches New Japan had this year, in my opinion. I think everyone has seen it, right? And everyone knows my opinion on Konosuke Takeshita. We'll come to that later. Takeshita then defended it once against Hiroki Goto in a really good match, and now is going on to a double title match against Yodatsuchi, and that's like my first big thing. I don't like double title matches. I feel like it's just a waste of time and nobody really gets it, what we are doing here, really. It's weird. I don't know. I feel like they just want to make a big star here with a double title belt, but I feel like it just doesn't matter to me, because the titles itself and lineages itself are really that important. Like the global belt is now, I think, for not even 2 years, and we're once again putting it together with the world title. Are we reunifying it? Nobody knows, and that's a big issue. And for me, that kind of made me question a lot what they have been doing all year. It feels like, okay, the secondary belt is once again getting thrown away. Maybe are making now the Never title the second belt, considering Eric Wolf is competing for it, but who really knows what? Who really knows what they are going to do? Then I would say we are going to take a look at the booking trends of New Japan in 2025. First, we start off with the two big storylines that I have found. And the first being the entire storyline around Konosuke Takeshita, who started off the year as the never openweight champion, won the belt in a double title match against Shingo Takagi, then defended it a lot of times against so many different kinds of wrestlers in so many different countries. It's insane. Fantastic run, in my opinion. I made a video about it. One of my first videos was a review about his never open title run. He defended against Tomohiro Ishii in a fantastic match at Wrestle Dynasty. Kushida was really good. Bolton Oleg, Angelo Oro, Rohei Oiwa, El Fantasmo, which was not good. And then Bolton Oleg to drop the belt back. That was like fantastic. Then he went on to the G1 Climax, and his persona kind of shifted. He was a heel, the outsider heel from the majority of the match, and I thought this worked fantastically. Well, and then he became kind of like a bland babyface that wanted to unite the wrestling world, and it came so out of nowhere and so misjudged by the booking and how it's going to be taken by the fans, because the fans clearly didn't want to cheer him on over the young talents. They wanted to, I wouldn't say hate him, but I would say they wanted to root against him, and they wanted him to be an anti-heel, kind of like an outside heel to their top baby faces. But no, instead New Japan decided, okay, we're making him a babyface. And he then went on to win the G1 Climax, which was already a really questionable decision for a lot of people. And then it became even more questionable, because from then on, he just didn't appear at all in New Japan until his title match 2 months later, which a lot of fans were taking not really well. And it was like, okay, I can take that. I can take it. It's okay to me. At least fast though. And then he decided, like mid-build up, okay, I'm going to post I'm a typical babyface kind of documentary. But at the very same time, they just decided to heal him up a little bit again. And it was so weird. Nothing in this character of Konosuke Takeshita made any kind of sense. He then went on to win the world title, was once again kind of a babyface, but it kind of wasn't. I think at that point, nobody has really figured out what he really was. Defended against Hiroki Goto, where he kind of leaned into being a heel once again, and then wasn't again in the match. Then after the match, he was once again leaning into being a heel and wasn't again when he was challenged by Yota Tsuji. Nothing really made any kind of sense with him as a character. Still, his in-ring quality is outstanding. I wasn't really a fan of his early G1 Climax work, but the longer the tournament went, especially the playoff matches against Finlay, against Takeshita against Zack Sabre Jr., and then of course the final against Evil, and then of course his 2 world title matches were all fantastic. So like the in-ring work is not a problem. Him being in AEW is in theory not a problem if you're using it well. I think him being an outsider champion that disrespects the young guys and just defeats all of them after another. Like imagine how a world title reign of Takeshita would have looked if it wasn't Zack Sabre first champion, but the young guy, and he defeats the young guy for the title, then defeats, well, okay, even if, let's say he defeats still Zack Sabre, and he just defends the belts against young guys like Ren Narita, Shota Umino, Yuya, and then eventually, Yota Tsuchi then sets up and says, okay, I'm the last one of my generation, I need to save New Japan from you. It would have worked so much better than whatever they're doing now. It feels weird, it feels just forced, in my opinion. The second big storyline was House of Torture. Is it really a shock? Because they were everywhere on the card. With their big focus, kind of at the beginning of the year, being like an undercard geeks, and then they decided, because it's House of Torture, to just gain a ton of momentum again, facing off against the Bullet Club War Dogs, including, in my opinion, a really cool cage match that the House of Torture team lost. But still, they somehow gained momentum out of it because it's House of Torture. We know how things work with them, right? It's always the same. Because not only did Sanada turn to them, but also Chase Owens, Don Fale, and Doki. With that, they gained 4 members inside 2 months. And have been dominant kind of since, especially in the junior division, as Doki is the junior heavyweight champion and Doki has a junior tag team champions, Evil being the never openweight champion, Ren Narita having a successful G1, Evil of course also being in the G1 Climax final. They are everywhere, and it's a big storyline that I need to mention. I personally don't like it. I feel like the booking has been better on the top than the last couple of years. It doesn't feel like they have won much important matches, more than mid-card stuff, and that is totally fine. But it's still something that that New Japan overrides on the typical House of Torture interferences in these kind of big spots. Then we go to the positive and the flaws, in my opinion, of the booking this year. And I found one positive and 3 flaws. Let's start off with the negatives, because I feel like the positive is a cool one that we need to quickly mention, and has a cool transition to the last part. The booking of the junior title is the first negative that we have, and especially the last couple of months, as Doki won the junior title as a heel, and now is not defending it at Wrestle Kingdom. And the entire storyline to that was really bad. We had a Super Junior Tag League where the challenges for the IWGP Junior Tag Team Champions were searched, and the tag team champions were no, of course, the House of Torture Doki, who's also the singles champion at Show. And instead of building up a tag challenger, Doki and Show won the tournament undefeated. They won every single match on this tour. They beat Jacob Austin Young Templar. They beat Drang Dian Ryosuke Takushi. They beat Gedo Hirobu Takahashi. They beat Clark Connors and Daiki Nagai. They beat Master Watt and Yo. And then in the final, they beat Robbie Axe and Taichi Ishimori. It was just incredibly dumb and bullshit. Like, everyone who has seen that was like, what are you guys doing there? And then you were like, okay, see, he cheated at least, so someone will at least step up and challenge him. And it eventually happened. It was El Desperado, it was Kosei Fujita, and it was Robbie Eagles. Taichi Ishimori, who got screwed in the final from Doki. I was like, okay, for Wade Wrestle Kingdom, I would have chosen those 4. I would have put in personally Master Wato. But, okay, that's at least leading to something. Then Doki picked up the mic backstage and said, well, I defeated all of you. I don't think we should do a 4-way. I think we should do a 4-way number 1 contender match between El Desperado, Kosei Fujita, Taichi Shibori, and House of Tortures, and my tag partner, Show. And I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck off. I was looking to say, okay, it's okay. I don't like this. But at least we're getting a singles match at Wrestle Kingdom with likely the El Desperado, and El Desperado gets this big moment because it's El Desperado. Then on the next day, they announced the match. I was like, okay, we're not even announcing the match. I talked to someone on the Cage Cast on it, Shadow Flush at that point. It's like, yeah, maybe I'm putting it on the Tag League final or like on a Produce show or something like that. No, they put it on at Wrestle Kingdom 20 in the Tokyo Dome. So there is a number 1 contender match for Doki, and Doki is not defending the belt. It's insane. It's so stupid. It's so bad, and it just feels like the bookers are trying to hold back the division on purpose. I don't really know what happened. It's so dumb. It's so bad, and it's just baffling. Another negative was the waste of momentum of many names in the roster. We have already talked about, of course, Kosei Fujita. There were also others, I think, especially in junior division. It felt like at the point that Yo was getting hot, and then he just lost everything out. Another name, and I think that's a big one, is David Finlay, who won the New Japan Cup, who lost his title challenge, which was to be expected, and then everyone was like, okay, what is he going to do now? And then he went in the feud with Evil and was like, okay, he's going to win it. We went to Dominion. He just lost it for absolutely no reason at Dominion in a really bad match. A match that was sadly helpful because it had a cool stipulation with the Dark Colors. No, he lost that. He had a really weirdly booked G1 Climax, and ever since, he has really done nothing. He's now in a tag league together with Hiromu Takahashi. I don't think they will win it. I think they will likely end up in a semis or maybe lose in the final day. I don't know, something like that. Super weirdly booked. It's sad because he's one of the most consistent talents, and that goes sadly through the entire roster. I feel like there's at most 2 to 3 talents that were booked really well this year in terms of consistency and everything. One being, of course, Doki, because they only had like 1 month with him. Now, but you can't really count him. The others, maybe Yodatsuji, it feels like even though, he always had something to do, he always was relevant and everything like that. So there's that, I would say, at least him and Zack. Because even when he dropped the IWGP World title, he was always in important roles and always important inside the universe. And of course, the other being El Desperado, because he's El Desperado. The last point is the focusing on the wrong talents, and it kind of goes hand to hand with the wasting momentum part, because instead of pushing Zack Sabre Jr. to a second world title run after the first one didn't work, instead of pushing Konosuke Takeshita as this weird heel outside, instead of continuously pushing El Desperado, instead of giving heel Doki a belt or something like that, we could have used that on, names like Yuya Uemura, Gabe Kidd, Yodatsuji making the step into the main event scene, maybe one of them holding the belt. Kosei Fujita, of course, with the junior title, and Masuwata with the junior title. One of them should have held the belt by now, but instead it's just, okay, they are just eating shit for talents that either are outsiders or coming from the outside or anything. It's just a waste of time. Like Bolton Oleg, for example, was booked really well until he won the belt. Then he defended against Don Fale, just lost it to Evil, because Evil is evil and he's going to carry the belt now to Wrestle Kingdom, even though it has more for sense, hopefully, if he loses it to Wrestle Kingdom and Aaron Wolf, so I could understand it more. But still, it feels just weird, everything they do with the company. It's just sad, in my opinion. I just hope that things get better, but under this booking team, I've not much hope. The last positive, or the only positive I can really mention here, without having some second feelings, is the retirement road of Hiroshi Tanahashi. I think it's legitimately one of the best, if not the best, retirement road we have ever seen in wrestling, because everything just clicked throughout the entire run, in my opinion, from the matches that he had. If it's against someone like Hiroki Goto, if it's the G1 run he had, where he had fantastic matches against Yodatsuji, Yuya Uemura, and so on. The match against Konosuke Takeshita and everything like that. The Gabe Kidd match that I thought was good. He continuously delivered on the big stages. He, of course, isn't the wrestler that he was years ago, but he still was able to make everything work, and it was just fun to watch. And this is exactly what you want from him. His matches in G1 Climate continuously delivered. The match against Teach was great. Bolton Oleg match, and so on and so forth. His last world title match against Hiroki Goto was one of my favorite matches of the year in terms of straight up emotional side. Tanahashi's retirement road has been just fantastic. It has been a trip to watch, and a positive that I won't forget about New Japan's underwhelming 2025. His last match being against Okada fits perfectly, and with that, I would say we jump into the final show of Hiroshi Tanahashi, Wrestle Kingdom 20, and with that, start the outlook on 2026. Wrestle Kingdom 20 happens January 4th, like always. We have over 40,000 fans tickets sold for Tanahashi's last match, a fantastic number, outright incredible. Do I really need to say much about it? It's insane. It's just insane. And you know what? Fair play to Tanahashi. Fair play. He deserves that. He's maybe the greatest wrestler of all time. He deserves that. And in his last match, he faces none other than his maybe biggest rival, Kazuchika Okada. I won't go into detail about that. I made a video about it if you want to see my full thoughts on it, 2 weeks ago. So check that out. Under it, we already kind of mentioned it, the IWGP World Heavyweight title and IWGP Global title double title match. Konosuke Takeshita against Yodatsuji. My hope just is that Tsuji wins and we end the Takeshita title run. But the more and more I look at the C2 and the more and more it gets likely that Takeshita wins the C2, the more likely it gets that he's sadly retaining here. I feel like it should be the Mamoru Yodatsuji if we have 40,000 fans in the Tokyo Dome. It should be a New Japan 2-1 guy winning the world title in the main event. It would just fit perfectly. Under it, we have the IWGP Junior title #1 contender 4-way matchup. We talked about Taiji Ishimori, El Desperado, Sho, and Kosei Fujita. I expect El Desperado to win because he's El Desperado. I talked about how much I hate this match coming about and how it came about. It's stupid. It's bad. Desperado is going to win. Match should be good. I hope Sho doesn't do too much House of Torture stuff in it. Speaking of House of Torture, we have the never open weight title match. Evil defends his title against the debuting former Olympic gold medalist Erwin Wolf. And this is a match to look forward to, really. It's super interesting how things are going to go here, as Erwin Wolf hasn't wrestled yet. It's his debut match. He has a lot of hype behind him. I'm going to be really interested to see how he's going to pull things off. But the opponent being evil in House of Torture makes this kind of easy for him, because he doesn't need to really have this thought out great match. He just needs to hit his comeback spots at the right moment, and him hip tossing Dawn Fale will be like a match of the year, moment of the year contender. So there's that. Personally, I'm hyped for that. I hope Wolf wins. I think if Wolf wins and does his stuff well, then this could be all good. If Wolf loses, then you know what? Fuck off. Really, to be honest. Just fuck off. Sorry. No, but it's just the truth. Then the last match we've announced so far with a full lineup is the IWGP Women's title and New Japan Strong Women's title double title match, Shuri against Saya Kamitani. Saya is going to win this match. I think this should be clear. She's the top star of Japanese women's wrestling, if not one of the top stars of wrestling in Japan in general right now. She has been carrying starring all year long as the world champion. She will be getting her third belt, in my opinion, here, and will walk out of the Tokyo Dome as a triple champion. The match should be really good. I will look forward to that. It's the first match after like 4 years or so. I believe the last one was part of the build-up to Dream Queendom in 2021, where they had this double countout of like 10 minutes or so in a random show. Don't know why I know this. Don't question it. Just accept it that I know this out of my head. Yeah, should be a good match. Saya will win, will continue dominance. The last officially announced match is a never six-man title gauntlet match, as Yano, and Masuwata are defending the belts. Who cares, really? I think we'll have all the people that can't make the card otherwise in this match. So there's that. Well, you know what? I'm fine with that, I guess. Kinda. Should be fine. I think they will have some cool tag teams in it. The Bullet Club Wild Dogs will likely be in it. Kaisi Takeshi was kind of teased for it from DDT. He will likely bring his DDT duo, so I would guess Akita and Yukino or something like that. Unsure. Maybe he just brings in Toy and Toy Inueno. I don't know. We will see. So with the last point being, what do I personally want from New Japan 2026? I could do a long speech here, but I think everything I want to say has been made clear throughout this video, so we'll say it in 3 words. Just something good. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Leave a like, a comment down below. We'll see each other tomorrow to a video about a wrestler from New Japan Pro Wrestling, where we'll be looking into his 2025 a bit more. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Bye-bye.